Okay, hope you have been in here long enough to get warmed up. We're ready to get started this morning, and Ron, you're going to be starting us off?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. And then Linda Thomas will be giving us the invocation, and then this is not Mark Avery.
John Baird will be introducing the speaker.
Speaker. Okay, all right. And Tom is away, so I'll be punting here a little bit, okay? All right. Ron?
Thank you, Dave. And of course, we have Larry at the piano. There it is. Let's sing it from the heart, shall we? And then our Kiwanis pledge. As our country's flag signifies purity, valor, and justice, may we as true Kiwanians exemplify these virtues as we serve the children of the world. Please remain standing.
Thank you for bringing us together in service and fellowship. Bless this gathering, our discussions, and the work we do for our community. Grant us wisdom to make a difference, strength to serve with kindness, and hearts that reflect your love. May our efforts bring hope and joy to those in need. Amen. Amen.
Good morning, Golden K. Mark Avery wrote this first line. It sounds kind of formal, but it's true. We are pleased to welcome Pete Buckley, whose life and career reflect a deep commitment to service, public safety, and community. It's true. We already know Pete. He served as our last lieutenant governor, so we've seen him here in this room. You probably, a lot of you recognize him from the meetings he's attended this past year. Pete grew up in Chicago, in the Chicago area. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Law Enforcement Administration from Western Illinois University and a Master's in Counseling from the University of Illinois Springfield. Here are 6 bullet points about Pete's career. He has served 3 years as a deputy sheriff with McLean County, 2 years with the United States Army, 4 years with the Illinois Army National Guard, 24 years as a special agent with the FBI, 4 years as chief deputy of Douglas County, and 10 years as a background investigator for the FBI. Pete and his wife have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. He lives in Tuscola. Please join me in welcoming Pete Buckley.
Thank you, John. Many of you know me as a lovable, chrome-domed former lieutenant governor of Division 25. But years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I had a different occupation. My name is Peter Buckley, and if you Google my name, the first person that you will see is an English boxer named Peter Buckley, all right? Now this Peter Buckley, he fought in 300 boxing matches. It's an incredible high number. I mean, Muhammad Ali fought 61 in his entire career, all right? This guy fought 300, and he lost 276 of those fights. So that's 85.33% of every fight he ever fought, he lost. But he kept on coming back. So why do I tell you this? Well, it reminds me of my career. Because like the boxer, I was persistent and not give up in trying to become an FBI agent. I applied several times to get in the FBI before finally being accepted in 1986. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about how a knucklehead like me got into this organization, and I'll talk a little bit about the assignments that I've had, and most importantly, give you plenty of opportunity to ask me questions. Why was I interested in the FBI? Well, between 1951 and 1956, my dad was a special agent in the FBI. And like this thing will work here. Well, the second guy from the right on the bottom is my father. You'll also notice that all those guys are white male. They're all from the greatest generation. They all fought in World War II. They all have white shirts. Some of them are kind of extravagant with wild ties. I think some of them have like hula dancers on them and other things. But they're all from the same ilk. And my dad used to tell me when I was a kid that, you know, Pete, I think you'd make a fine special agent. And I thought, he's out of his mind. Because I looked at my high school transcripts, and I didn't have a single A in high school. In fact, I didn't get an A in PE, and I was on the football team. So I thought he was kind of crazy, because in my mind, my dad was only in for 6 years. My mom made him quit because we had moved 3 times, and she says, we're not going to move anymore. So he became a salesman for a company called Phelps Dodge Copper Company, and he had the Irish gift of gab. He could sell snow to Eskimos. Just a great guy. I loved him to pieces. And so I wanted to do what he would want me to do, but being an FBI agent to me was like being Superman, you know, able to leave small buildings in a single bound, faster than a speeding bullet, that type of thing. And that wasn't going to happen. So, in fact, I attended a conference just a couple years ago in Springfield, and the director of the FBI, a guy by the name of Christopher Wray, he said that it was easier to get into Harvard than become an FBI agent. So I like to tell people that I never attended Harvard, but I did attend the Harvard the Midwest, Western Illinois University. Excuse me, I got some water here. So while attending Harvard, Western, which is, like I said, the Harvard of the Midwest, I was in ROTC, all right? And in ROTC, believe it or not, I received a 4-year ROTC scholarship, paid my tuition all 4 years. And before you think, boy, that Buckley was a pretty smart guy, this was 1973, Vietnam was just ending, and there were 2 scholarships and only 3 people applied. So the odds were with me, and I got it. At Western Illinois, I excelled at ROTC, and I played rugby, drank beer, and occasionally attended class, where I majored in law enforcement administration. So after graduating from Western Illinois University, I went to Fort Bliss, Texas, where I was in the United States Army as a 2nd lieutenant, and I attended Air Defense Artillery School. And the Air Defense Artillery, I was a platoon leader for a Vulcan anti-aircraft. Our motto in the Army for Air Defense Artillery was, if it flies, it dies. So I love the Army. I wanted to be a soldier when I was a kid, and everything about it was terrific, except for the fact that I got married while I was in the Army, and my next assignment would be Korea. And Korea is an unaccompanied location where you can't take your family. And so my 2 years had ended, and I did not want to extend. It was a hard decision for me to make, and I got out and I went to graduate school in Springfield. It used to be called Sangamon State University. Now it's called University of Illinois at Springfield. And I took classes to become a high school counselor. And I worked at a school called Reddick High School. And I don't know if you know where it is, but it's on the border of Livingston County and Kankakee County. The school doesn't even exist anymore. But back in 1983, it was 1981, it was a school of 125 kids. Every male was expected to go out for every sport, or else they wouldn't have a sport, right? So they had a football team, a basketball team, a baseball team, and I was the head coach for track. We didn't have a track at Reddick, so I spray painted the distances on the sidewalk, and all our meets were away. We won one track meet while I was there, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I loved it. But if any of you are teachers, you know that teachers probably aren't the highest paid people in the world. And I signed my third-year contract for $15,000, and I don't think I was going to make it. And my dad had already been telling me I should apply. When I first got out of the Army, I applied, I passed the written test, but not high enough to warrant an interview. So I thought, I'm done with it. But now I'm working at Reddick as a high school counselor and not making much money. I'm detasseling corn with high school kids, and I'm the tallest one there because these little girls and stuff, they can't even reach the tassels, and I'm pulling them off for them. And I'm thinking, I gotta be doing something more for my family. And I have a degree in law enforcement administration. I can't get in the FBI. Maybe I should do something else. So I applied. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you this because that's me in the lower left with some hair. And believe it or not, I was the National Honor Society sponsor, even though I could never get in myself as when I was in age. There I am as a McLean County deputy. Again, I love my job being a deputy sheriff. I was there for 2.5 years. I think I held a record for most DUIs one year. I really loved the people I worked with. Had a great sheriff, but it was again, my dad comes down with cancer. So he's got end-stage lung cancer, and he says, Pete, I sure would like it if you tried to get into the Bureau. So I said, and how can you say no to your dad? Pretty much I had given up on this thing. So I took the test again. Somehow the FBI lowered their standards, and I was able to slide in. And the good thing is that I found out while I was on patrol, and I got a call from the applicant coordinator out of Springfield, a guy by the name of Dean Pacer, still remember his name. And Dean says, hey, I got good news for you. You're going to go into, you got in, you're going to go into class in May. So I stopped at a phone booth back in 1986. We still had phone booths, and I called my dad and let him know the news. Now he was on some heavy medication. I'm pretty sure he understood me and was happy, and he died just a few days later. So it worked out for me really well. And that's my class. And I am in the top left person. I still had some hair then, although you could tell I'm losing a little bit. And let's see, yeah, right there, me. And you can see now that the FBI has changed. We've got females, we've got people of all different races, and it represents America pretty well. And from there, what did I do? Well, I reached my goal to be an FBI agent, which I never thought would happen. I get sent to Phoenix, Arizona. And in Phoenix, Arizona, I worked all sorts of crimes. I worked bank robberies, let's see, mostly I worked foreign counterintelligence and fugitive cases, kidnappings, armored car robberies, that type of thing. But I want to tell you a little bit about my first arrest. It was a bank robbery. The guy was a heroin addict. And when I interviewed him after we arrested him, he said, hey, listen, I'm a heroin addict, and I was stealing money from my family and borrowing money from my sisters. And one day I went up to my sister, I was trying to get some more money from her, and she says, I'm not going to give you any more money, why don't you go rob a bank? So I did. And that was the easiest conviction that I ever had throughout my career. So while I was in Phoenix, I worked a lot of interesting cases. Like I said, you know, kidnappings to me are interesting. Fugitive cases are great. Bank robberies are really fulfilling when you arrest a bank robber and stuff. But this is a case that was really interesting. It was in 1988. I worked undercover as an Air Force captain, and I'm in the middle row. Unfortunately, this isn't going to show it, but even though I had never been in the Air Force, they figured an Army officer, Air Force officer, I can work undercover as an Air Force captain. And I was assigned to work this INF case. Now, the INF treaty stands for Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces. And it was signed between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1987. And we promised we're going to eliminate all our ground-launched cruise missiles if you guys do the same thing. But guess what? We don't trust you, and you don't trust us. So we would send people over to watch while they destroyed their cruise missiles. They sent over people so they could watch us destroy cruise missiles. We destroyed them in Tucson, Arizona at the Air Force Base called Davis Mountain. And what we used is, not me, but there would be technicians there who used titanium-tipped saws to saw these cruise missiles in half. It took a long time, and they would watch. And I was assigned to, one of these Russian guys was a KGB agent, and I was supposed to find out as much as I could about him. I did, I found out through a series of INF treaties, he came back several times, that he had marital issues. Eventually, he was assigned to Washington, D.C. at the Soviet embassy, and they tried to recruit him, and they scared the pants out of him, and he was not recruited. He went back to Russia immediately. He was very scared of this. But that's a piece of the cruise missile, is that round cylinder there. And those little Russian medals, they're medals that the Russians gave to us, and we gave them some trinkets too. And it's kind of a reminder to me of my time there. From Arizona, I went to Chicago, where I worked on a Polish Foreign Counterintelligence Squad for a year before the Berlin Wall went down. Then we had peace. And then I volunteered to work on a brand new task force consisting of FBI agents, Chicago Police Gang Specialists, Illinois State Police Special Agents, IRS investigators, and a Cook County Sheriff's Deputy. And what we would do is target the leadership of Chicago street gangs. Our main focus was to accumulate evidence to get court-authorized wiretaps and listen to gang members openly talk about selling cocaine, heroin, or PCP. These gangs, such as the Black Gangster Disciples and the Vice Lords, or the conservative Vice Lords, those guys voted Republican, and or the traveling Vice Lords. So these guys were responsible for scores of homicides, but they seldom went to prison because few people would testify against them. So what did the FBI do? We would identify ranking members of gang members, and they would coordinate with drug suppliers from Colombia and elsewhere. And we would prove to a judge that a cell phone that was being used to conduct drug business, we could get a court authority to intercept those phone calls. And once we did, and Katie barred the door, we had it. One case that I want to talk about is regarding Dante Banks. He's the governor of the Gangster Disciples. They have a hierarchy, and he controlled a certain south side area of Chicago, and he was responsible for the cocaine trade. His supplier was a guy by the name of Carnell Simmons, who got his cocaine from the Colombians. And one day we intercepted a call and said, Dante is talking to Carnell. He says, hey, this cocaine is not cooking the crack cocaine well. There's something wrong with it. He wasn't talking the King's English, but that's what he meant. And Carneal Simmons, he says, hey, you know what, I'm a good drug supplier, I guarantee my product, I will exchange your bad cocaine for good cocaine. So what we did was, we intercepted them at the meet, and we arrested these guys, and this is 20 kilos of cocaine right here, and they, Carneal Simmons flipped right away. He says, hey, you know what, I don't want to go to jail for the rest of my life, so I'm going to give up a self-storage locker in Lansing, Illinois. So we go to Lansing, Illinois, go into the self-storage locker, and this is $1.7 million in cash that was in that self-storage locker. And that was just one gang, and there's over 40 gangs in the Chicago area. So you're talking about a lot of money. And we have you can see there's a cardboard cutout of J. Edgar Hoover. Of course, he's no longer alive. We would put him in these photos. There's a kid that's bald there. He is a Make-A-Wish Foundation. He had cancer, lost his hair. He always wanted to be an FBI agent. Unfortunately, he passed away later. So that's the kind of cases that we had. And these are the kinds of sentences they got. There it says, judge grudgingly gives life sentences to 4 crack dealers. Well, because of the amount of cocaine that was involved, the judge had to give them life sentences. So these guys were homicidal maniacs. We were able to take them off the streets for a considerable period of time. And then just another example of the kinds, why would like the Chicago Police Department and others go in with the FBI? Well, because the federal statutes put these guys away for a long time, and for wiretaps, like in the state of Illinois, you have to have 2-party consent to intercept a phone call. So what bad guy is going to allow you to intercept his phone calls? Nobody. But in the federal system, you just need 1-party consent. So if we had an informant who was able to do to agree to wear a wire, we could intercept his conversations. And then once we got the wire off, here's how the wire works too. Dante Banks' case, I listened to thousands of phone calls, and a lot of them were for pizza delivery, but you can only listen 2 minutes. If they're not talking criminal activity, we in America think privacy is so important that we have to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Hey, maybe they're not talking criminal activity. So we can't listen for another minute. Then we can turn it back on, again, listen for a minute. If they're still not talking criminal activity, we turn it off. We turn it off on, and we can only intercept and record criminal phone calls to protect the person's right to privacy. Here's just another case, a 6-month gang probe, 29 suspects. These guys, they belong to the Maniac Latin Disciples, and they were operating on the west side of Chicago. And I just wanted to show you kind of a hierarchy. This was the Ambros. The Ambros are a Hispanic street gang. I became the supervisor of the FBI of the Hispanic gang squad. And this is just an example. This top tier, the top 3 guys, those are the ones who supplied the chemicals for PCP. And what they would do is they would roll marijuana joints, and you could dip the marijuana into PCP, and you get a higher high if you smoke the marijuana. So in the second row, you got people who actually make the PCP from the chemicals, and the third row are the leaders of the Ambros, and they're the ones who distributed on mostly the south side of Chicago. And we got some good sentences from them too. And let's see here. I just wanted to show you this. This is a picture of the U.S. I went to the U.S. Embassy in Canada, Ottawa, and this is right after 9/11. And if you recall, the 9/11 terrorists, they all came from Canada. They entered the United States from Canada. So there were a lot of links to go there. I went there, and I just wanted to say that the Canadians were so great to us that this entire 1-block area around surrounding the embassy was surrounded with flowers. 100,000 Canadians gathered on September 14th. I want to show you that. And here's some of the other cases that I had. This is the Winger case. Now, the Winger case is a case that you might have seen. It's been in the newspaper on 2020 on 48 Hours on Forensic Files. He killed his wife because he wanted to have, he had an affair with somebody else, and they eventually found out that he was sentenced to Pontiac. He wanted to kill his ex-girlfriend and his witnesses, so I had an informant that he hired in Pontiac prison. I had this informant where a wire intercepted phone calls from Winger planning to have these people killed, and he got another 30 years, so he had life plus 30. There's a kidnapping case that we had that was really close to here. This guy, the Yakos family owned a series of Mexican restaurants called La Bamba. They're all over the United States, and they kidnapped him outside in Champaign. They took him to Indiana, where we were able to intercept phone calls and track to where he was, and we arrested him, and these guys got 30 years. This is Ali Al-Mari. He was sent to Peoria, Illinois to attend Bradley right after 9/11. He was supposed to be part of the second wave of terrorists, and we were able to arrest him and put him away, and he was exiled back to his country in South America. And then that's me, G-Man extraordinaire, Pete Buckley. I was a training agent to somebody whose father was an art teacher in Indiana, and he made that money. And that's so. Do you have any questions about the FBI? I had other jobs. I also worked at the FBI Academy for a year. I also worked at FBI headquarters for a year on the inspection staff. So I would go around to 10 different offices throughout the United States, from Los Angeles to Buffalo, and we would, a bunch of us inspectors would inspect them from soup to nuts. We would talk to the mayor, we would talk to the state's attorney. Hey, is the local FBI addressing the crime in your problem? Because the crime in Decatur, Illinois might be different than the crime in Chicago. And so that was, I love that type of work, and I had a good time doing that. But do you have any questions about him? Yes, in the back.
Is Chicago any different? Is Chicago any different now than it was then?
As far as I know, they have more than 2 gang squads now. So they still have a tremendous gang problem because there's money to be made, selling drugs, and I guess there always will be. So yes, it's still as bad as it is.
Pete, you said that when you were a sheriff's deputy, you held a record for DUIs. With all those DUIs, how'd you keep your job?
You know what? I almost mentioned Charles. It sounds like that was amazing. I arrested those people. That's a good one, Charles.
How did you learn the South Chicago dialect?
Well, I didn't. I'd have to. Luckily, we could slow down the speech pattern when you're listening to them, and I had to do that hundreds of times to actually identify what they were saying. And then they were talking code too, so we had to break that code.
Of all the cases you handled, which one do you think affected you the most?
There was a kidnapping that took place in Leroy, and it was a parental kidnapping, and the parental kidnapping is a low priority for the FBI because usually it's 2 loving parents, they just want to take the kid. In this case, the father did not bring back the child like he was supposed to, and the mother contacted, it was in McLean County police. They got the FBI involved, and me and Kathy Adams were co-case agents with the state police and McLean County Sheriff's Deputy. I had a special agent in charge who I won't disparage too much, but said, hey, what kind of help can we get? I said, we need a command post 24 hours a day here, because this guy had made threats to his wife that you would never see the kids again alive, type of thing. And she said, yeah, anything you want. So we'll have, I said, we need 24-hour command posts, we need, agents and support staff to man the telephones, send out leads all over. She was fine. And after one day, she says, you know, it's not a priority for the FBI. I'm pulling everyone but you and Kathy. So just me, Kathy, state police, and McLean County. We worked this case for days. You know, I sent leads to FBI agents throughout the country because the kidnapper, the father, had owned property in Florida, Minnesota. And agents would wake up real estate agents in the middle of the night and get keys so they can go into houses that this guy was trying to sell, looking for these. We put flyers on the interstates throughout the United States looking for the children in that. And then he ended up killing him. And several days later, he killed himself. And it was in a farmer's field, something and we went to the funeral.
Okay.
And that's all satisfied.
Pete, when you were undercover, how much danger did you feel like you were in?
Well, the only danger I was, my only undercover was that captain in the Air Force, was the other Air Force officers, because they weren't supposed to know I was not a captain. So they would talk about their Air Force Academy days, and I would always steer the conversation to the Bears. How about them Bears? You know, and talk about sports and stuff.
How did the FBI change after that Miami shootout?
The Miami shootout, they were using like revolvers, although two of the guys, the two guys that were killed were SWAT members, and they had 9mm, but one of the bullets hit the pistol, made it inactive. And the other guys, you know, it's kind of a long story, but because of the Miami shootout, they went to 9mm. I had a 6-shot revolver when I first joined. We went to 9mm, and we still have 9. We went from a SIG, now we have blocks.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
Pete, if you don't have anything at your house with the Kiwanis logo on it, now you do. We have a certificate of appreciation.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's start with Linda, with guest in attendance.
Good morning. Today we have 51 members present, 3 Kiwanis guests, Bill Meyer, Deb Warren, her dryer was here, 1 guest speaker for a total of 55.
Okay, thank you. Kathy Seebach, health report.
Yeah, Pat Riley mentioned to me that he visited Jim Bigden, and Jim is doing good. You know, his wife passed away recently, and Jim would welcome any visitors. Or if you think about it, this is the time of year where we drop cards. So just please keep him and his family in your thoughts.
Thank you. And birthdays and anniversaries with Kevin Clary.
All right, birthdays and anniversaries from November 30th through December 13th. First of all, on the 4th, Rick Gillum, he'll be 77. On the 7th, Tom McQuistion, no wonder he's not here, he'll be 81. On the 9th, Charles Smith, he'll be 83. Let's sing. We have one anniversary. On the 13th, Don and Gail Camp. It'll be 56 years. Let's sing.
Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you.
I thought of a quote from Bob Hope. You know you're getting middle-aged when your weightlifting consists of merely getting up.
All right, okay. I sent out some email reminders to some of you about filling out your slip. I've gotten some of them back, I appreciate it. If you haven't completed yours yet, I would like to have it. So, just a reminder. And hopefully, your brains have recovered from Thanksgiving and are ready to be tested here. And here, I think we're ready for the word.
Oh, ready for the word, okay.
Testiculating. If somebody told you that somebody was testiculating, what would they be doing?
Calculating how they're gonna take the test.
Calculating how they're going to take a test. Well, that's a pretty good stab at it there.
Using a calculator to cheat on a test.
Well, yeah, I guess that could be, that would be a new meaning for the word.
Like a man calculating, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it does sort of have that tone to it, doesn't it? Well, it's a derivative. Yeah.
Trying to figure out your test score.
Oh, yeah, well, that I can see where that would be. It's actually a derivative of gesticulating. And it's, let's get the definition up there, okay? It's somebody who's talking bullocks with expansive arm movements. So, might be a word that you might have an opportunity to apply to somebody all right, announcements this morning. Cheryl.
I just want to remind everybody, you should have received some information from me for ringing of the bells on Thursday, December 11th. I put the 13th, but it is the 11th, and Saturday, December 13th. I do have one opening on Saturday, December 13th from 10 to 12 at Sam's. If anybody is willing to do that, please let me know, and I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, good.
You can put me down.
Ah, you got a volunteer, very good.
Tell me again the date.
All right, Dan Sivak.
I've got a couple of things. One, this Sunday at 6 o'clock, the St. Teresa Key Club is going to have a present wrapping session out at the school for the presents they're going to wrap and give to the Western Canfield kids. And I still have some Charity Mania tickets. I got plenty of them left. So if anybody wants to come out and help wrap presents, feel free. We'll see you then.
Okay, all right. Susan Rayo. Not here. Okay. I guess you probably won't be speaking this morning then. Paula.
As far as the Linda Bench program, Dan is going to find out here in the next few hours whether we will be able to use the cop shop, Policeman's Benevolent. So just look for emails coming out from Linda on whether we'll go with that on Monday, December 8th. I will do one more pickup, a couple of benches and possibly some bird baths before Christmas. And if you have any lids, and you are coming, go ahead and please bring those with you on the 8th if that does work out. As far as the flip tab program, this is the time of year where I really hope people kind of get geared up for that, because a lot of pop and beer and different things are being used that have flip tabs on them, canned items that make casseroles and things. The Ronald McDonald House in Central Illinois has has recognized the efforts that we've made here in Macon County. They brought me a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a nice bag to keep all of my materials in, and they made some specific flyers for me to give out and some other things to give to the businesses and organizations that are participating in this. One of the things that they did tell me was that in Macon County residents in the year 2024, 34 families utilized their services that live in Decatur-Macon County, and that totaled 959 nights of service that they provide to Macon County residents. So Macon County is well represented at the Ronald McDonald House, unfortunately. Fortunately, they have it. Unfortunately, they have to be there. I have some flyers if anybody would like to take one. If you know any businesses, bars, restaurants, individuals that go through a lot of pop or beer or other flip tab items, and you want to take it to them, just to let them know I have my name and number on there if they have any questions. I've got little Ronald McDonald houses and things, so I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Harold?
Yes, our the Libraries Committee met recently to approve the installation of 2 new libraries. One will be in the Decatur Daycare Center over by St. Mary's, and then will be at the DISC. And we've only got 2 people right now that are maintaining those libraries that we have, the 7 that we have. Once again. So we're asking someone if they would like to volunteer to help us with maintaining these additional 2 libraries, keeping them stocked and available to the children. So if you can do that, let me know.
Okay. Roberta Williams.
The weather got cold, and I have 3 sweatshirts left from our previous vendor. And so if anybody's interested, I have 2 extra large zip-up hoodies and 1 regular gold crew neck sweatshirt that I have, and these are from the old vendor. I haven't looked at sweatshirts from the new vendor yet, but if anybody's interested in these, the zip-up hoodie is $20, and the crew neck sweatshirt is $15. So you can let me know if you're interested.
Okay. And last week, or not last week, last time we met, we did a guess who this person is, guess who this Kiwanian is. And it was Sally Williams. And one of the things that I read about that maybe led to her being identified was the famous person that she met was Ferguson Jenkins. Now, I was kind of surprised when I heard somebody say, "Who was Ferguson Jenkins?" Now, anyway, if you're not a baseball fan, you might not know who he was, but he was quite an outstanding pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. So I asked Sally to share with us, how did she meet Ferguson Jenkins?
Well, back in 2016, a friend and I went down to spring training, and I met Ferguson, I met Bill Buckner, so it was a fun time. Led to the World Series that year.
Oh, very good, very good.
Dick, I got one more I forgot. Today at 11 o'clock, I'm going down to the police benevolent meeting. Going to give them a $200 donation for Shop with the Cops in Kiwanis for them letting us use their hall.
Okay, very good. And we have a note here we received from CASA, which is the court-appointed special advocates for children. We recently gave them a check for $1,000. So this is in October of 2025. We gave them this check, and this note came saying, "Thank you so much for your donation. We couldn't do it without your support. on behalf of CASA, we thank you, Melissa Wolf Johnson. So, add that to our collection. I think that's the only general announcement. We've got a board meeting coming up Monday of next week. And I think we're ready for the 50th.
Good morning. Are we ready? I'm gonna read all 7 numbers. The winning ticket. Oh, first I have to do this. Still in training. We collected $84 today. $42 went to administration. $42 went to the pot. The accumulated total right now is $248. So it's getting up there. Now, you ready? The ticket is 9018773. $773.
Oh, Mike.
3 hearts, no winner today.
Okay. So roll over for next week. That'll put it right up. Okay. Happy.
Just a quick reminder, I'm still taking reservations for the Christmas luncheon next week. Today is the deadline, so if you're interested, please see me before you leave. Thank you.
All right, happy Joe.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm still signing up people next week for the help with the toys and distribution and stuff at St. Paul's for Dove, Salvation Army, and Catholic Charities, and many more. Also, they're giving out food baskets and coats.
Yes, I'm so happy today. I had 2 stress tests this week, and I'm so happy they did not keep me in the hospital.
I'm putting in a couple dollars. We had 2 really fun events that we attended. We went to a Friendsgiving meeting or celebration with all of the international teachers, or not all of them were there, but the ones that were there, which was a lot of fun. And then we hosted 4 African teachers for Thanksgiving. And one thing that I want to say that came out of that was they are really passionate about teaching. We had a big debate about what causes lower achievement in students. It was very interesting. So if you ever get a chance to meet any of them, I suggest that you do, because they're really passionate about what they're doing.
I want to put $1 in because I was kind of, I don't know, sitting and pointing and saying that looks good at our church, and they decorated it, my volunteers and great people, our congregation, they finally decorated Central Christian. So if your council meeting, you should probably go up and take a look. It's really pretty. And I have $1 for Linda Thomas because Sunday, obviously, several people didn't show up that had volunteered to hang the greenery, and our service starts at 10:30, and at 25 after, I look at Linda and say, hey, can you hang one of the banners? And she goes, sure. She pops up, goes up there, and hangs it like a pro. So she came to save my day, so I appreciate that, Linda.
I was reading somewhere that shoveling snow is the equivalent of taking a stress test. Well, when I shovel snow, I put a bottle of aspirin in my pocket along with my cell phone, just in case I keel over. So I'm going to celebrate the fact that I passed 2 stress tests by shoveling snow. We have there's $1 for wonderful Thanksgiving with several of our kids and grandkids. And then this dollar is for, we got a Christmas tree, a pre-late Christmas tree put up yesterday, and we went to check the lights and we couldn't find the remote. And I found at least 20 places that it wasn't.
Okay, I'm putting $1 in because my daughter and her family came to visit our home for Thanksgiving. They're from Arkansas. And unfortunately, they were going home on Saturday, but the snowstorm kept them until Sunday, so they didn't make it home safely.
Well, I've got a couple dollars here for, we had our family gathering in Connecticut. There were 27 of us, and with 3 turkeys and plenty of food and good time and really enjoyable. And just by chance, we had set ourselves up to fly back on Friday, which turned out to be quite a positive thing, since we were home before one snowflake began to fall. So thankful for that.
I have an announcement. Gary Gokin, do you have that slide about next week's speakers?
Oh, sure.
Next week, our speakers will be Michael Warner and Holly Dubon from Webster Cantrell Youth Advocacy, and he will be speaking on building brighter futures for families.
Okay. If there's no other happy things, then we'll go to our storyteller. Okay.
So you're connected in Connecticut, is that
Yeah.
all right. Verify that. Every story is somewhat true. This is alleged to be a somewhat true story. Here we are. A woman went to her local newspaper office to write the obituary for her recently deceased husband. The editor informed her that the fee for a submitted obituary was $1 per word, aside from the name and address. She paused, reflected, and then said, "Well then, let it read, Billy Bob died." "Sorry, ma'am," replied the editor, "but I'm afraid there's a 7-word minimum for all submitted obituaries." Somewhat flustered, the woman thought for a minute and then instructed the editor to write, "Billy Bob died, 1983 pickup for sale."
Well, I've been thinking about getting a truck. All right. If there are no other things to come before this austere group, then we will be adjourned.